quarantined in your Batcave can make you a little stir crazy. That is why Batman is here to save the day no matter what universe you're in, by giving you some amazing stories that will get you so wrapped up that you'll forget that the world is burning outside. Just a little. Welcome back, Gothamites. If you're new here, hi. I'm London, aka History of the Batman. Since most of us are still in quarantine and hopefully following the stay-at-home orders, it's safe to say that you probably have some time on your hands. So I wanted to curate a Batman reading list from A to Z. I am a huge fan of making alphabets. I even did one that had DC and Marvel counterparts a while ago. So if you're interested in that, I'll put it in the description below. But this list is just to help your social distancing be a little bit more entertaining. For this list, I tried to mix some obscure Batman stories that you may or may not have heard of. So if you're looking at this list to find stories such as The Dark Knight Returns, The Killing Joke, Batman Hush, Nightfall, No Man's Land, you know, the big essentials, this is not the list for you. But if you do want to hear more about those stories, I did do a Batman 101 guide to jumping into reading Batman comics, and I know all of those are on that list. So if you want a 101 guide, then in the description below it goes. My hope is that this reading list will either introduce you to new Batman stories you've never heard before and you're excited to read, or it will remind you of stories that you haven't read in many years, and this is the perfect time to catch up on some fantastic Batman tales over his last 81 years. Before we get all cozy with a good book, why don't you subscribe to this channel and become a part of this wonderful Gothamite community. The letter A is for Arkham Asylum, laying the foundation for the modern home of Gotham's criminally insane. This 1989 one-shot, written by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Dave McKean and Gaspar Saladino, follows the Batman who has to make his way through Arkham Asylum that has been taken over by the Joker and is holding all of the workers hostage, all while learning the devastating history behind the creation of this institution. Both Morrison's psychoanalysis of the Batman rogues and McKean's surreal imagery makes Arkham, a serious house on serious earths, a must-read for any Batman fan that wants to dive into the very complex mythology of the Dark Knight. The letter B is for Batman's greatest case, included in the anniversary issue of Detective Comics issue 1000, which I always have a copy of in the background of my videos. This is a variant cover, which I absolutely love. Tom King, Tony S. Daniel, and Joelle Jones' short story not only includes the entire Bat family that conducts some very witty and funny banter, but it shows that Bruce is coming to terms with the fact that even though he lost his parents many years ago, he will always have the Batman family, whether they don their costumes or not. The letter C is for Batman the Cult. One of the most underrated arcs in the late 1980s. Jim Starlin's Batman the Cult has the Batman kidnapped, tortured, and brainwashed by Deacon Blackfire. Starlin's very dark storytelling mixed with Bernie Wrightson, Bill Ray, and Todd Klein's art filled with psychedelic colors, coupled with heartbreaking pencils that show Batman in so much peril, all makes for a fantastic read to see the Dark Knight pushed to his ultimate limits. Letter D is for Dark Knight Dark City. Peter Milligan's and Kieran Dwyer's 3-issue arc explores the untold occult history of 18th century Gotham City, how Gotham was built on a temple of the Bat Demon, who is named Barbados, and how the Riddler, of all people in current day, is trying to resurrect this Bat Demon by using the human sacrifice of the human Bat himself, the Batman. Mixing mystical elements with Batman's classic mythos makes for another underrated read during the early 1990s. E's. The letter E is for Batman ego. In August 2000, the late Darwin could tackle the troubled psyche of the Batman in his one-shot Batman Ego. After innocents die at the hands of the Joker, Batman begins to ponder whether his vigilante lifestyle and crusade is worth the price of losing innocent lives in Gotham. Filled with dark yet animated shadows that Cook is praised for in his comics, Bruce Wayne and Batman's heart-to-heart to figure out what it truly means to be the Caped Crusader by itself makes it such an essential read. The letter F is for the first Batman. An early Silver Age tale, Bill Finger and Sheldon Moldoff's story, The First Batman, which was originally published in 1956's Detective Comics 235, ties Batman's father, Thomas Wayne, to the Batsuit after Bruce learns that Thomas was the Batman at a masquerade ball many years ago. From learning about crime bosses Lou Moxon's connection to the Wayne's murder, to adding a new piece of his father's past to his own Batcave gallery, Batman's father being the first Batman is so poetic, to say the least. The letter G is for Good Evening Midnight. The Batman Black and White comic book series is an extraordinary anthology that has so many different amazing rotating creators with every story. In issue 3, Klaus Janson wrote and illustrated the story Good Evening Midnight, which has Alfred Pennyworth reading an unopened letter from Thomas Wayne to his son Bruce Wayne, with his father hoping that his life will be filled with happiness and good deeds. The juxtaposition between Thomas's words and Batman in action is a very bittersweet balance to the vigilante lifestyle that Bruce has chosen. I also recommend you checking out the 2008 motion comic of Good Evening Midnight, which is on YouTube. The letter H is for Heart of Hush. Discussed recently in my 5-minute Bat Essentials all about Catwoman. In Paul Dini and Dustin Nguyen's sequel arc to Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee's Batman Hush, Thomas Elliot, aka Hush, continues his vengeance against Bruce Wayne and tries to attack the one person that he knows will really give it to him, and that is of course Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, our lover. But if you don't care about anything else in this story, Hush surgically removing Selina's heart from her body and Batman having to retrieve it is all you need to go pick up this story to read during your quarantine, because it is bananas. The letter I is for Images. In the anniversary issue of Batman Legends of the Dark Knight number 50 from September 1993, Denny O'Neil pins the story Images, which is a modern take on Batman and the Joker's first encounter in 1940's Batman issue number 1, which is celebrating its 80th anniversary this year. Also, the Joker is celebrating its 80th anniversary. There's a lot of celebrating going on. Beautifully mirroring Bill Finger's original Golden Age tale, Images displays the constant battle between good and evil between these two iconic DC Comics characters. And of course, I am obsessed with Brian Boland's cover to Images. So much so that of course I have the black and white statue based off of Brian Boland's cover, with Joker holding the cat that has the Joker face, and it's one of my favorite black and white statues that I own. It's amazing. The letter J is for Judas Contract. Dick Grayson and the rest of the Teen Titans face their greatest challenge yet in Marv Wolfman and George Perez's arc, The Judas Contract. When Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, systematically takes down each member of the Teen Titans, except Dick Grayson because he's a boss. While Grayson is able to evade the attack, he has his own identity crisis trying to figure out who he wants to be, because he's not Robin anymore, and in this arc it's the very first time that he takes up the mature persona of Nightwing. Yes, Disco Nightwing. So if you don't care about anything else in Judas Contract, look at this. Nightwing, Disco Nightwing is literally the best reason to check out this story, even though the entire arc is fantastic. It was even made into an animated film and it's great, but love me some Nightwing, so. Letter K is for Killer's Roulette. One of the titans in the 1970s that brought Batman out from his campy aesthetic of the 1960s was writer Frank Robbins. Robbins' 1972 Detective Comics tale Killer's Roulette not only involves wealthy businessmen who are being murdered due to their gambling debts, and the Batman has to infiltrate this dangerous game in order to find the culprit of these killings, but this cover by Mike Kaluta and Gasper Saladino, oh my god, is is just a perfect representation of the tone shift from the 1960s to the dark detective era of the 1970s, going back to the gothic roots that Bill Finger and Bob Kane created in 1939. The letter L is for Ladies' Night. I always shed a little bit of a tear when I read this story, but it's so amazing. This is one of my favorite Brave and the Bold comics of all time. Michael Straczynski's 2010 story Ladies' Night, which is in the Brave and the Bold issue 33, has Zatanna and Wonder Woman struggling to come to terms with the fact that Barbara Gordon, their good friend, is going to face a horrible fate thanks to the Joker, who will shoot and paralyze her from the waist down, which was originally published in 1988's Batman the Killing Joke. Since Zatanna and Wonder Woman know that they cannot change literally destiny, they take Babs out for a night that she'll never forget, filled with dancing, laughter, and so much fun. While this tale is very hurtful to members of the DC Universe knowing Babs' fate, Ladies' Night illustrates Barbara's tragedy was meant for her to become greater than she already was in the form of Oracle. And this girls' night will always be something that Babs literally never forgets. Speaking of Babs, the letter M is for the $1 million debut of Batgirl. Wanting to revamp the first Batgirl in the early 1960s, Barbara Gordon became the new crime-fighting Batgirl in the pages of Gardner Fox and Carmine Infantino's Detective Comics issue 359 called The $1 Million Debut of Batgirl. Head of the Gotham City Library by day and crime fighter by night, Barbara already proves herself to the dynamic duo when she helps take out Killer Moth, and she slowly but surely becomes an important part of the Batman family. If you are a fan of Batgirl, no matter which Batgirl, if it's Babs, if it's Cassandra Cain, if it's Stephanie Brown, whoever you like, this is a definite must read. The letter N is for Night of the Stalker. Steve Englehart's 1974 tale Night of the Stalker is another gem from the Bronze Age era that really captures Batman's descent back into his darker tales. Published in Detective Comics 439, the Batman literally decides to stalk a group of muggers that attacked an innocent family. That's the entire book. And what's great about this book is that there is zero dialogue. It is all based on Englehart's direction and Dick Giordano's work, mixing brilliant elements of film noir and pulp horror reminiscent of the 1940s. Englehart merely utilizes the shadows of the Batman in Gotham City to permeate his intimidating and very frightening nature, which is what Batman is all about. The letter O is for Only Angels Have Wings. Starting with the Brave and the Bold issue 59, Batman became the central figure of the publication, and all of the amazing team-up stories began, courtesy of the popularity of the live-action TV series Batman from the 1960s. One unconventional duo is Batman and the Joker. I love stories when they team up. It's so random. And this is in Dan Mishkin's and Gary Kahn's Only Angels Have Wings, which is from 1982's The Brave and the Bold issue 191. And of course it was illustrated by the amazing Jim Aparo. When it seems like the Joker actually killed the Penguin, the Joker actually comes to Batman and says, I didn't do it. The Joker, who always claims any single crime that he does, is telling Batsy, hey, this wasn't me. So the duo have to actually work together to figure out who actually killed Penguin. But spoiler alert, Penguin didn't die, but I'm not going to give you the entire ending because it's actually really, really good. Full of crazy shenanigans and a literal goose chase. This unconventional pair of Batman and the Joker makes for an unforgettable story in the 1980s. The letter P is for Public Enemies. Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness's first arc in the early 2000s publication Superman Batman was called Public Enemies, and it lasted for the first 6 issues. President Lex Luthor, of course, makes Batman and Superman the #1 enemies of the state and places a $1 billion bounty on their heads, which means literally everybody is coming out the woodwork just to try to take down world's finest. Made into a 2009 DC animated film, Public Enemies is an action-filled story with 2 of DC Comics' greatest heroes. The letter Q is for Crazy Quilt Comes Back. In 1974's Batman 255, Robin the Boy Wonder facing Thrills in Technicolor against the Renegade of the Rainbows. That is literally what he calls himself, Crazy Quilt. And honestly, that is merch. But yes, Robin has to go after Crazy Quilt, a villain who could only see streams of bright colors. And of course, when he escapes from prison, he goes on a Gotham City crime spree, stealing everything that has bright, vibrant colors. And of course, it is up to Robin to try to stop this colorful rogue and send him back to prison where he belongs. It's a crazy Bronze Age tale, but I love any Robin-centric stories, especially dealing with colorful villains that don't get enough credit for being just fantastic. The letter R is for Robin Dies at Dawn. So iconic. One of the greatest Batman essentials to come out of the Silver Age. Bill Finger's 1963 story Robin Dies at Dawn has Batman volunteering for a military test to see how long a person can endure loneliness and how that affects the human psyche. I'm pretty sure that this whole thing was a Twilight Zone episode. I could be wrong, but I think it was anyway. Of course, during this hallucination in this test, he imagines that Dick Grayson's Robin died. But even after waking up from the experiment and going back to Gotham and trying to be his regular vigilante self, he still can't get the image out of his mind that Robin is dying or will die or will be killed while he's crime fighting, and he is just really messed up psychologically. So much so that he decides, I can't be Batman right now. Robin, you be the protector of Gotham. You young child, you go protect the city. Not me, because I'm just not there. I'm not ready to go back to it. Of course, in the end, Batman snaps out of it. He knows that his young ward is safe and everything is fine. It is really one of the first Batman tales to see one of the major characters, Robin, die, which ironically is something we will actually see in future decades. The letter S is for Strange Apparitions. I love this arc so much. Personally, in my top 3 favorite Batman stories of all time, period. Like, period. In the late 1970s, Steve Englehart, Marshall Rogers, Walt Simonson, Len Wein, and other creators turned the already popular DC Comics character into a more three-dimensional figure in the Detective Comics series that is now dubbed Batman's Strange Apparition. Englehart and Rogers' tale focuses on both Bruce Wayne and Batman, which is something that you really didn't see in comics at the time. From taking on a new political threat in Gotham named Rupert Thorne, to battling new rogues such as Dr. Phosphorus, to even combating classic villains like the Joker, especially in the iconic story, The Laughing Fish, and even introducing one of Batman's greatest lovers of all time, Silver St. Cloud. That is my girl. This Bronze Age tale is a brilliant example of revealing the true cowl that Batman dons, and that is, of course, Bruce Wayne. The letter T is for Tower of Babel. In Mark Waid and Howard Porter's 2000 arc JLA Tower of Babel, which was loosely adapted in the animated film Justice League Doom, the Justice League feels betrayed after learning that Batman has created contingency plans against each member of the JLA just in case any of them go rogue. But of course, these plans get into the very wrong hands of Ra's al Ghul, and he wants to use all of this to, of course, what he likes to do, wipe out the whole population and start anew. It's not just a fantastic story that showcases Batman's brilliance and paranoia, but it also illustrates a power struggle between DC's mightiest heroes, which is always interesting to observe on a human level. The letter U is for The Untold Legend of the Batman. Perfect start to the 1980s decade. The late Len Wein penned the 3-issue arc, The Untold Legend of the Batman. When Batman receives a package that has his father's old tattered bat suit in it, and he's like, where did this come from? So him and Dick Grayson's Robin team up to try to figure out how they received this very strange package in the mail. In this arc, along the way of solving this mystery, we get amazing highlights and refreshers on origin stories for Batman, Robin, Joker, Two-Face, Alfred Pennyworth, and many others. And it is definitely a stylized refresher course on the Batman's mythology up to this point in 1980. The letter V is for Batman Venom. Ooh. Didn't Dennis O'Neil's Legends of the Dark Knight arc, Batman Venom, deals with Batman trying to better himself after he fails to save the life of an innocent girl. To do this, he tries the very, very experimental drug called Venom and becomes addicted to it, so much so that he has to go to Alfred Pennyworth to help him combat his addiction, and Bruce locks himself in the Batcave for 30 days to recover. And once he emerges from the Batcave, he is ready to go back to being the Caped Crusader. This story not only introduces the super steroid Venom, which of course would be used by the villain Bane, which in turn he would use to break Batman's back in Batman Nightfall, so it's all connected. But this is one of my favorite stories of all time because it shows the Batman's human side, his humanity, and how us as humans, we fail. We are not these super-powered beings that can just combat anything that's thrown at us. He has a weakness, and I think that's why people, especially myself, love the Batman character, because we can relate to him on the level of having to struggle with things such as addiction. The letter W is, where were you on the night the Batman was killed? I was at home. I'm not gonna lie. I've been at home for like months now, but one of the greatest Batman arcs to come out of the 1970s, and no one talks about it, and I don't know why. David Byrne reads 4-issue arc, which was in the pages of Batman 291 to 294, sees that the Batman has died, and literally every single villain in the Batman Rogues Gallery is testifying, saying how they were the ones that took out Batman. We got Catwoman, we got Riddler, we got Joker, we have Lex Luthor. It's crazy. This cover to Batman 291, which is just iconic all by itself, is the first time that all of these villains, so many villains, are on one cover. It's iconic. This whodunit tale with a twist is such a hilarious story, and it shows how captivating Batman's infamous Rogues Gallery really is, and why they're some of the best villains in all of fiction. The letter X is the beast of, I know I'm gonna butcher this and I'm so sorry, Exochitan. As we know, Dick Grayson's Robin debuted 80 years ago in Detective Comics issue 38, and ever since then, he became an overnight sensation just as Batman. He even had his own backup stories in Star Spangled Comics, but going into the Silver Age, he would join the team of the Teen Titans. And in February 1966, these young heroes got their own self-titled publication. Their first tale, which was written by Bob Haney and illustrated by Nick Cardy, with a team consisting of Robin, Kid Flash, Aqualad, and Wonder Girl, were sent to the South African nation that I am butchering, and so I don't want to continue to butcher it, to aid the Peace Corps in building a dam that would actually halt ancient gods coming into this land. Is it a silly Silver Age story? Of course it is. But is it important because it is the first issue of the Teen Titans? Yes. If you like Robin and you are a fan of the Titans, I definitely recommend you checking out this essential issue within this young superhero's history. The letter Y is for year 100. Paul Pulp's 4-issue Elseworld, released in 2006, brings us to a very technologically advanced Gotham City where the Batman is literally not on the grid because he's Batman and you can't hold him down. The government, of course, is trying to track down this vigilante, thinking that he's committing certain crimes and murders throughout the city. By itself, Year 100's illustrations and even storyline has the grit and grime of a classic detective story, even though it is way in the future. No matter what era the Batman is in, you can still see his crusade for justice, even if Commissioner Gordon or the government is not a fan of it. And the letter Z is for 0 year. Yes, I had to throw in 0 year. I kind of was thinking of something else, but 0 year is just a really good modern take on Bruce Wayne becoming the Batman. And we're not disputing Frank Miller's Batman Year One as the ultimate origin story that was from Bill Finger's 1939 origin story, but Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo did craft a beautifully Batman publication centric that shows how Bruce Wayne became the Dark Knight of this new 52 modern era. Whether you are stuck at home or you are an essential worker, which I applaud you if you are out there on the front lines helping all of us stay safe from COVID-19, I think you can find some time to read some of these Batman stories because all of them are so much fun. And if you have heard a story in this A to Z alphabet that you're like, hey, that sounds cool, I definitely recommend you picking up. But during all of this quarantine time, I really do hope you all are staying very safe and well and following the stay-at-home orders and taking all the precautions and social distancing and just protecting yourself. I know that it's hard to be by yourself. Maybe you are quarantined by yourself. Remember, you are not alone. You are in this Batman community, so don't think that you are just by yourself. We're all here for you. We're all in this together, and hey, we can all be reading Batman comics and just being so happy during this rather difficult time. Thank you guys so much for watching this Batman quarantine reading list from A to Z. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a bat thumbs up. As always, all of my social media is linked in the description below, including Instagram at History of the Batman. So why don't you give it a follow and become a Gothamite? Check out my other Batman videos on this channel. And of course, please subscribe to this channel so you can become a part of this Batman community. It would mean so much to me. Oh, I have an announcement, which is very exciting. I was invited by the amazing Legion M to do a AMA, a Ask Me Anything, on their Twitch channel. It will be Thursday, May 7th at 5 p.m. PST on Legion M's Twitch channel, which I will link their Twitch channel in the description so you can go right to it and bam, it'll be there. I'm very excited to chat, hopefully with you guys. So hopefully you'll come on the live stream. You can ask me whatever you want. I'm down. Just I'll put all the information in the description below. And of course, thank you to Legion M for inviting me to talk about History of the Batman. I am very honored for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you during my Twitch live stream with Legion M. And we will have more History of the Batman soon, right here on YouTube. Remember, Gothamites, all about peace, love, and Batman. Bye.
What?